Starts. Hello everyone and welcome to today's vlog. Today's vlog is all about exploring the new Meteor 350. So the first question is it the same 350cc engine from its predecessor, the Thunderbird? Or does it carry any kind of similarities from the 650 twin? Is this going to be a worthy successor to the Lightning 535, the superbike of the era launched by Royal Enfield? The Lightning 535 was the cruiser first launched, and unfortunately it got discontinued after the introduction of Thunderbird. So the question is this somewhere indicates the outgoing of Thunderbird, or it is going to carry the legacy of both these bikes? Well, that question can be answered. As we know, Thunderbird was a success. Now, we need to see whether this bike continues along with the Thunderbird or it takes out Thunderbird from the market. Should you buy it? If, then why? We'll answer this in the video. Coming on to the weight of this bike, with 191 kilograms, it is lighter than Thunderbird and the Imperiale 400, but it is also heavier than the 350 Highness of Honda. Well, does it feel the weight? The answer to this is no. So basically, when you sit on this bike, it doesn't feel the weight. It has wider and a lower handlebar that allows you to maneuver in the city traffic easily. Also, the range of the handlebar is quite wide. That helps you in taking some sharp U-turns in the city traffic. Now the traffic brings my attention to the seat height of this bike. At 765 mm, it is the lowest in its class, as most of the time in the city traffic at some junctions you have to crawl the bike, and with this seat height it actually helps. Now for me it's quite comfortable. My height is around 5'11", but if you are somewhere around 5'5", 5'6", or 5'7", you can also opt for the additional accessory seat that comes with 20 mm less than the stock one. So you can have a total seat height of 745 mm. Now the height reminds me of the massive ground clearance this bike has. It is around 170 mm wider, that's freaking 35 mm taller than the regular classic 350. So guys, we're going to Ladakh. Be aware that people on Meteor will be giving you high buy on the way back. Saying that, it brings me to the suspension of Meteor. The front suspension is quite soft, whereas the rear one is quite hard. But it is good enough for you to take you to the standard Indian roads. But it might fail you in giving a sofa-like experience. Sofa? Well, that take me to the backrest of the bike that is given in the Supernova model. But does it perform the work it is supposed to do? Well, the answer is yes. It is quite comfortable in city rides for the pillion rider. Let's talk about the heart of the machine, the engine. So Royal Enfield has given it the look of 650 twin from one side, whereas maintaining the originality on the other. The 349cc counterbalance engine is super smooth, claimed by Royal Enfield. But we are not going to believe this. We're definitely going to do the world-renowned teacup test. So let's see how it behaves. There's a lot to talk about the new 349cc engine on the Meteor. It's not only smooth, but also, as claimed by Royal Enfield, is quick too, as 80% of the torque comes into play as early as in 2000 RPM. That's like in the second and third gear, you get all the power to churn out from this machine. That means if you are as low as at 30 or 40 km per hour in second and third gear, you can just open the throttle wide enough and this bike is not going to disappoint you. That means it's going to be super responsive in the city traffic. But that brings me to a very important point. Where is the tachometer? Like, how can Royal Enfield miss out on this? So you can't know at which RPM your bike is at. And when it comes to response, people generally have that idea in their mind, like they worry about the hard clutch and not so super smooth gearbox for Royal Enfield. But here is the point, guys. This bike has seriously impressed me on that thing, because the clutch is so smooth and the gearbox is hassle-free. Talking about the Revs Classic 350, Thunderbird or the Bullet, while these all bikes go till 100 and struggle a bit to go till 120, the Meteor is nothing new. It is responsive till 80, but when it comes to cross the triple digit mark, it lags there. So the question comes, does it make any difference? Well, the answer is no. It doesn't make any difference, because if you see the 0 to 100 speed, it takes 8 to 9 seconds lesser than the Classic 350. While the Classic 350 takes around 23 seconds from 0 to 100, whereas this Meteor takes around 15 seconds from 0 to 100. That recalls me whether this bike is faster or smoother. Well, if you ask my opinion, this is not for people who are in rush. Well, it is completely bent towards cruising while touring. Now, that takes me to another option for those who are planning for Leh Ladakh, or for long northeastern rides. It is going to be a next choice for them. Touring makes me jump into another very important topic, that is the mileage on this bike, because it is somewhere a very important, crucial part while planning your rides. So while cruising, this bike, despite of having more BHP or more power, it will give you around 42 to 43 in the city, whereas while cruising, it will give you around 37 to 38 roughly over there. That's the claimed average or the claimed mileage for Meteor 350. Given those figures, what would be its range? Well, that is dependent on the capacity of the fuel tank, and the company has given it around 15 liters, while I was actually expecting somewhere around this 17 or 18 liters, because as it resembles the Thunderbird, and as we all know, Thunderbird has around 20 liters capacity, but still with 15 liters it will give you a decent range of 550 to 600 kilometers. Long tours means better grip and better braking. Now that brings me to the tire size of this bike. The front tire is 190/19 inches, whereas the rear is 140/70 17 inches. The wider tires on this bike allows you to move in the city much more comfortably. Now, looking at the braking, the disc brakes on this tire are the widest in the segment. So that brings me to a very important question. Does this discs or the dual channel ABS on this bike performs the task? Well, the answer is yes. The stopping distance of this bike from 60 to 0 is somewhere around 16 to 17 meters. Well, that brings me to another most important aspect of this bike, that is its look. So while you will be riding it in the city, will it be a head turner? So to answer that question, I have along with me my friend Arun, who will give his own experience about the first look impression of Meteor 350.
Hi, this is Arun, Rio's friend. Initially, when I got the chance to have a look at this bike in the Meteor launch event, as well as I got a test ride, I felt this is like when people would have a look at this bike when initially they found it on road, they think it's a Harley, but as the looks are very beautiful and mesmerizing. So definitely they will think this is kind of a new segment which has been launched in the market, and yes, it is very beautiful. And though my people think it is Harley, but still it maintains its beauty. I think so. Like this.
Get money, get money. Let's get money, get
now,
money.
Talking about the looks of this bike, it brings me to the headlight, and on this there is a LED DRL that's kind of incomplete. The incomplete ring actually gives it a very premium look, whereas the bulb still remains halogen. Tail lamp, it also resembles the same. Being a modern classic, RE has given the rotary switches on this bike, which personally I felt quite cool, and you can use it easily once you get used to it. The front brake master cylinder, it looks quite out of the league when you compare it with other Royal Enfield motorcycles. The round and smooth finish that has been given to it makes it look quite cool and also gives it the retro look that we look for. And very smartly, RE has covered the entire exhaust pipe, thus giving it a very premium touch. Also, the exhaust note on this bike is quite distinctive and also has a very good bass to it. Coming on to the build quality of this bike, well, RE has done some cost cutting on this, as the front mudguard is plastic. The back over here, cover, that is also plastic, but luckily we have the tank made out of metal. Also, the rear mudguard is of metal. But does it make any difference look-wise? The answer is no, because the premium touch and finish that has been given to this bike makes it look quite distinctive, and you can't figure out which part is made of metal and which is plastic. So let's check out the instrument cluster on the Meteor 350. Well, it gives a complete 180 degree swipe on this bike. Talking about the indicators over here, we have got the fuel indicator, the gear indicator, and also it will give you trip A, trip B. Odometer is also given digitally, and along with that you get a battery indication, the ABS indication that is by default switched on this bike. It has got front and rear ABS on this, and the speedometer is quite impressively placed over the digital meter, and that also gives a very premium look to this bike. Now talking about the right one, and here you can actually see, once you connect it with the Royal Enfield app, you can actually navigate by the Google Maps, as our switch has been given over here. And once you switch it on, your blinkers will start appearing over there. So that's all about the console on this bike. And wait, something has been placed very smartly over there. That's the USB port given on this bike. That's the USB port, and the cover comes with a magnetic clip, so it's kind of waterproof also. Let's talk about the key of this bike, and it is not like a regular key. Coming on to the final phase of this video, which one would you prefer? Whether it's going to be the Supernova, the Stella, or the Fireball? Well, if you ask my opinion, I'll go for the Stella. Being the base variant, there's no much difference between Stella and Supernova, but with a minimum addition, I can actually make it look better than the Supernova. So here it is, guys, the new Meteor 350 from Royal Enfield. That looks quite premium from outside, and if you talk about the 360 view of this bike, even the headlight looks quite bigger. And when we check about the silencer, it is quite well crafted over here, and the chrome finish on this bike actually makes it look more premier than the other counterparts of it. Now the thing is, also the back tail lamp gives it the retro look that we all look for. Now talking about the gearbox, it is not placed exactly like how in all other variants, that is placed somewhere here. Yeah, so it has a bit of push forward foot pegs that gives you a feel of rest and comfort during your ride. So without any ado, let's take the test ride of the all new Meteor 350 Supernova. The sound of closing off the side stand is also not that cranky. If you talk about the other bikes, how it sounds, it's not like that. And the radial dials over here, both the sides, this is for the high beam, this is for the low beam, and here for the start, this is the same switch for switching it off and also to start the motorcycle. So look, the sound is quite good on this. There is no much vibration on the mirror. So while riding this bike, it is actually very comfortable. Switching the gears up and down is very super smooth on this bike. And if you talk about the clutch, it feels very lighter. The braking on this bike is absolutely fun, and you won't be stressed while changing the gears on this bike. It is very responsive in the second, third gears, and the bike keeps on pulling. The front telescopic spokes are quite smooth on this, whereas if you talk about the rear one, that is quite stiff. So during any kind of potholes or like speed breakers, you can actually feel the stiffness in the rear suspension, whereas the front suspensions are working fantabulously on this, and there is no much pressure felt on your hands while going through any kind of speed breakers or potholes. It will easily take you over that. But there are quite chances that the pillion rider might feel the bumpiness because of the stiff rear suspension on this. The horn sounds quite impressive also, as it is loud enough. So maneuvering through the city traffic on this bike is going to be very easy. So let's see how it climbs on this inclined path. And I can see there's no stress on the accelerator, so it goes super smooth, super easy. And mind you guys, I am sitting right now along with the pillion rider, so in total I can say the bike weighs around 191 kgs. Curb weight is that. And let's see how a U-turn feels like on this bike. So the wide range of this handlebar actually makes it quite easy for a U-turn. So let's check the speed. So it has already crossed the 80 mark in the third gear, and here's the red line for this. So the red line in the third gear comes at 100. And taking sharp turns is very easy on this bike, guys. So let's see how it pulls in the fourth gear. So the red line in fourth gear comes at 110 km per hour. Talking about the brakes of this bike, I am honestly very impressed by the braking on this bike, and this feels amazing. This feels safe to ride this bike even in the triple digit. Revving the motor and putting on the first gear. Let's see the top. So the bike never ever fails to impress you when you are on the go, and it feels quite punchy. It feels very punchy in the second, third gear, while the fourth gear is entirely made for cruising, and the fifth gear gives the smoothness to this bike. And riding at highways in a cruising speed of say 90 or 100, this bike is going to give you the utmost comfort that you can look for, or that you can ask Royal Enfield for. But to take it to the speed limit of say 100 or into the triple digit, it will take some efforts and time too. The red line comes for third gear at 100, and for second gear it's around 80 or 90, but there is no stress on the engine. There is no stress on the engine say whatsoever. The bike is very much comfortable for city rides, city commutes, and also on long highway cruising at 80 or 100 will be completely safe on this bike, saying the tire size and the braking capacity of this bike. The clutch levers are bit wider than the other Royal Enfield bikes, so because of that you don't feel pain in your fingers while pressing the clutch too many times or like using it in the city. One thing that is missing on this right now is the GPS navigation. So if you guys want, I'll make another video dedicatedly on the GPS navigation on this bike. I'll connect my phone and I'll let you know how to use this bike along with the Google Maps. So that's all about the Royal Enfield Meteor 350. If you guys see, this is the place where you have to come if you are taking it in Vizag. Thank you so much Sitaram Motors for giving me this opportunity to test ride this bike. So let's talk about the $1 million question now. Will it be able to make an impact like the 650 Twins? Will it be a game changer in the market for Royal Enfield? Well, starting with the 2.04 lakhs price range for the Fireball, the mid comes the Stella comes for 2.10, and the top end, that is the Supernova, comes for 2.20. That's quite impressive given all this kind of specifications for this bike, the engine refinement, the accessories that has been added to this. I guess this is a very competitive price given by RE. With time, we'll see whether this is going to prove itself a revolutionary bike or not. If you guys like this video,
Like, share, and subscribe.
and don't forget to hit the bell icon to get all my future notifications. So till then, take care, ride hard, ride safe. Bye bye.